Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going fantastic. And your journey to self-betterment is going better than fantastic as well. Today I want to talk about something very important. And it's a topic surrounding narcissism that has many layers and moving parts. And it's these layers that are important. And this goes back to slowing things down. Don't hear the first thing that you can identify with and then stop listening. Because if you do, you might miss the layer underneath that is so important. You know what, I will start with the layer underneath. I think that is a great place to start. And it heavily ties in with self-work. And finding our own shortcomings after being raised by a narcissist. And toxic things we may have unconsciously learned. You see, you have narcissists that may push their son or daughter in academic excellence so they can look like the good parent. And in my experience, most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, what I'm going to say may not apply to such a narcissist. Because they have tons of tangible resources at their fingertips. So though there are still a great many similarities between narcissist parents, no matter they be rich or poor, there are some possible differences. And this, I believe, is one of them. Let me use myself as an example. After my narcissist mother made sure my father was out of the picture. And my father passed away shortly thereafter. And then my mother burned through all of his money. We lived very poor in regards to our finances. And though this was the case, my mother didn't want to help herself to help us. However, she was a master to get others to do things for her. So much so my mother would literally wear out her welcome with people and then she would start over with another person she would meet. My mother did this routine with the parents of my classmates when I was growing up. She would call one of my classmates' parents out of the blue unannounced just to tell them her sob story. And to convince them to help her in one way or another. And just like many people that get put on the spot, they had a hard time saying no. A side note to realize here is this is a narcissist trick. Narcissists love to put you in an awkward position where you have a hard time saying no to something you really don't want to do. My mother would call these people over and over again with one request after another. My mother sadly didn't drive. She had no skills and no desire to learn any skills. So she was happily, and I'm serious when I say this, happily dependent on others. You see, my mother got narcissistic supply from the process she went through to get people to do what she wanted them to do. And in this process she knew in her mind that I would take the heat when things would start to break down. And let me tell you what, things always broke down. With me indeed taking the heat. Now though this was horribly embarrassing for me. Horribly embarrassing. It was all I had seen because that's the home I grew up in. Then on top of that, my mother seemed like she worked double time to put stumbling blocks in mine and my golden child brother's way so we would have a stunted life and wouldn't grow and become capable adults. And narcissists' parents do this because they want you to be not only their caretaker for life, but a good source of narcissistic supply for life. Because if your life is all messed up, it's likely you will have one problem or another coming up each day of your life. Problems the narcissist parent can be a part of, thus gaining narcissistic supply. And also, let's face it, narcissists love to know they have ruined someone. They are truly sick in this regard, in my humble cartoon opinion. They really love the fact they are able to fool someone. And they feel all powerful when they can ruin someone's life. They feel like they have a lot of power and or control if they can take someone that has great life potential and literally ruin them and turn them into someone that is dependent on others for all of their needs. And now we are going to jump out of the layer and onto the surface, so to speak. You see, there's a YouTube show I talked about in the video I did a few days ago when I was talking about narcissist friends. And in this YouTube show, it's hosted by a comedian who at times can be funny and makes good points. However, at times he uses that humor to cross the line on those that are supposed to be his friends. And in this particular instance, one of these friends stood up for himself. And guess what happened? This comedian host of the show that was supposed to be friends with this guy started to talk about all of the financial things that he's done for his friend, in a way to show his dominance. And as if to say, I can talk to you and can treat you any way I want to. Because you need me. I don't need you. Then when you understand the man that spoke up and his story a bit more, you see and get he was raised in a toxic situation, where he didn't have very much growing up. And as a result, he might not have been able to develop certain things that others can naturally do for themselves. And this in no way excuses this man for not having certain things in place in his life at a certain age. But this is what growing up in a toxic home does. It creates people that are stunted emotionally and financially. And it seems like these people are always needing some sort of help to do things maybe the average person can do on their own. You see, when you grow up in such a home where you feel like your family isn't your family at all, and like you never had a family, you sadly start looking for that family love in the friends you meet. And this is how easy it is to get linked up with a narcissist friend. I did it. And you probably did it too. And for me it was the same so-called friend that would say something that would embarrass me, let's say in front of a young lady I might have liked and a young lady that liked me back. And this so-called friend would try to derail that because of jealousy or whatever, by saying something that would be embarrassing or something that would try to make me look like I was less capable of a person. When in reality this guy was extremely stunted and not very capable. When I helped out this person, I did it from my heart. When this person would help me out, he did it to gain something over me. You see, people, this is why family is so important. And why having knowledge of the breakdown of the family is important, so you don't repeat a lot of these same life mistakes. You see, a real solid family that is tight-knit, they want their son or daughter to come to them, the parent, to talk and ask for help or whatever they need first. Because they know, though there are some good people in this world, by and large if you go to even a friend for help, it's possible that it will be held against you and used against you later on in life by the same person that you thought was your friend. Well, this man that stood up for himself on this show ended up in more than one life toxic situation where they needed help from this person or that person. And this goes back to the layers again. And the self-work. When I look back I cringe. I literally cringe when I think about situations I put myself in where I asked for assistance or help from someone. And when I look back now, though my thinking wasn't right because of how I was raised, I at the end of the day put myself in such situations. I did it to myself. And that's when I started to look at traits in myself that might be off-putting to others. No. Not that I'm not good enough type of talk. I understood I was kind and helpful because I enjoyed being that. That was who I was and who I am. And I enjoyed that being me. But there are other things I picked up from my toxic mother that weren't so good. Things that made others quite possibly want nothing to do with me. And I was just repeating the cycle. Look. You can be a strong empath. But you can carry some toxic traits from your narcissist parent or parents if you aren't willing to look at yourself and do the self-work. But here's the problem. And it is a big problem. Even when you do the self-work you can be so far behind in life it feels like it's impossible to catch up. And that's the part that's not your fault. I do believe that anyone can make anything out of their life they want. But I also believe you can work as hard and as smart as you can and still not be able to get out of the situation that you are in. I believe God is with us. And God can change anyone's life. God can make someone poor today that was once rich. And God can make someone rich today that was once poor. But He can also let us stay right where we are at and watch how things play out in our lives. Still loving us and still being in our lives. But with no real change that we can see as far as our external successes. You see, the host of this YouTube show felt like he could do what he could do simply because he probably felt like the other guy on the show didn't have his life in order. And he might have felt that based on what he has seen. That no matter how hard this guy tries, his life will never be in order. Thus, he will always need his comedian friend. Where his comedian friend will never need the other guy that's on the show. He can take him or leave him. And I've seen before where such a person believes they can take or leave someone in that sense or in that scenario. Likely just like the golden child growing up. They see what happens to the empath. So they quickly go down a road that they feel will allow them to have more protection. And also the most power. Well, in the same regard, they might have witnessed earlier on in life. Someone that is publicly making fun of a friend they helped out once. And the making fun of them literally just came out of nowhere and for no reason. And it was senseless. And I think someone like the host of the show might have witnessed something like this growing up and quickly understood. That's not where I want to be. I don't ever want to be that person asking for something where I can be made fun of. However, what I do want to be is the person pretending to be a friend and helping others. Because that gives me leverage and power over these people at any time I want to call upon that power. And once you start to do the self-work, that's why you might start to see asking people for help as a bad thing. It might make you scared to make a friend. It might make you scared to share your true feelings with someone because you feel like it will be just used against you later on. Look. There's nothing worse than thinking you're friends with someone and they have your back and you have theirs. Then one day, they tell you basically to your face that you really were never their friend. And they actually think quite low about you. What I'm going to tell you is, do what you can to put your house in order. Even if you have to live with less. Yes. There are good people out there. And there are good people that are there to help. That's why I say, feel free to chat with some of the people in the comment section here. Because there are a lot of people that are willing to listen to you and offer quite possibly good advice. But when we are talking about your personal life, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, sadly. And on this show it was sad to see how the host of this show said things that are really hard to take back. Again, not excusing the other man either. He's not perfect. Because none of us are. But you could really see the hurt in his face. His face said it all. Man, I thought he was my friend. I thought we were like brothers. And it all came crumbling down in 20 minutes. A 10 or 15-year friendship literally came to an end in a 20-minute conversation. And it appeared to come to an end because the host of the show wanted to show how dominant he is and say things that if you were to hang out with this person again, you would be clearly saying that you're a doormat. And this goes back to Narcissism 101. Narcissists. And I'm not saying the host of the show is a narcissist. But narcissists will do stuff like this as a do-do test. Because if they can embarrass you and put you down, and not just put you down, but put you down in public. If you go back into that friendship, you show to this toxic person that you are okay with being treated poorly and they will do it again. They might give you a hug and slap hands and give you a handshake. And they might call you friend or even brother. But they will do it again. It might be 5 years later. But they will do it again. And they will make you feel silly for wasting your time and emotions on this person. This is why if you are just getting out on your own in the world and you are young, this is the time to do the self-work. And part of that self-work is self-reliance. Yes. We all need help at some point or another. But that's not how you should start off a friendship. Because that's when you have a high chance of meeting a narcissist friend. Because narcissists are always looking for wounded people. People that need help. People that have their lives all messed up. Do what you can to unmess your life. And to not only get your emotional situation under control, but your life period under control. So you don't have to involve this person or that person in your day-to-day problems. Because when I heard some of the things people did for this guy on the show, you could tell his life wasn't doing so well. Likely because he got a bad start and he at that time wasn't doing the self-work and was creating one bad situation for himself after the next. On top of that, it's hard to get ahead when you are so far behind. And there's no guarantee that what I'm about ready to say will happen. As I just mentioned before, you can work and work and work, and still end up nowhere. However, if you realize, wait a minute, this is what happened to me growing up. I'm way behind, so to speak. And this doesn't mean keeping up with the Jones family. But we are talking about basic living. If this person can understand they are far behind, they can start to prioritize things in their life. That might help. That might help them get further ahead and less likely to need to ask others for something. Again, we all need help. But this is why narcissist parents or other toxic parents do this. They know you are going to be just as stuck in life as they are. And you will spend most of your days on this earth asking people that pretend to be your friend for help. When at the end of the day, you end up feeling bad and being treated poorly by someone that was never your friend to begin with. Slow things down, people. And that's not just when you are dealing with others out there. But it's also something you should be doing when dealing with yourself. Start to see your flaws for what they are. And then work on them. Understand these flaws you have and how they don't work so well in this world we live in, and then go from there. Build your life. And have a safety plan when dealing with people. Because at the end of the day they are people. 1 minute things could be going great and the next they might not be going so great. And you want to be able to take care of yourself regardless. So slow things down and do the self-work. Well, that's all I have for today. I do appreciate your kind words and support. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.